Hello, welcome to the Go Grab That Day podcast. Today I'm going to talk about heaps of random shit. That's what we're going to call the podcast, is heaps and piles of random shit. Okay, so let's get into it. Starting off, I want to talk about Nickelback. Nickelback, the band, for any of you that are fucking stupid. One thing I was wondering is why do so many people hate the band Nickelback? I'm not going to say I'm a big fan, but I'm quite a fan of some of their songs. You know, some of their not so popular ones. But I see online all the time people absolutely hate them. They think they're dog shit. It's almost popular to hate them. So I don't know. I always wondered why people hate them so much. I know, like, don't get me wrong, some of their songs are super cheesy, and I have noticed, even, you know, I kind of have them on my playlist now the last couple of weeks, and some of the lines in their songs are pretty bad. They are pretty bad, I would say, but they're not that bad. I mean, there's worse out there. That's, you know, some of the popular music artists or musicians out there, you know, they're not so great either. Like, so, and I always wonder what it is. Like, I see there's memes everywhere, and it's almost cool to threaten somebody listening to Nickelback. It's quite weird. I don't know. I think they're pretty good, and from what I see, they must be pretty popular with all the. I don't know, but that's just one of the things I wanted to mention was Nickelback. For some reason, people absolutely despise them. Give them a chance. Listen to some of their songs. Not their fucking. So bad that I'm talking about Nickelback. I know I can't remember any of their songs. I know Rockstar. That was one of their big ones. And their main one, God, this name is eluding me. It always is when I'm trying to fucking do a podcast. Yeah, doesn't matter. It's a different song playing in my head. But yeah, so listen to some of their not so overplayed songs, and they are pretty good. Yeah, so moving on from Nickelback. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, I know this is kind of, it's not really, but it's kind of in the MMA realm, sort of, was wrestling, but like not MMA wrestling, not real wrestling. I talk about the wrestling, you know, sports entertainment as they call it. I was listening this week to Joe Rogan's podcast. Me and Joe Rogan are good pals. But he had Mark Calloway, aka The Undertaker, on the podcast. And, you know, I know majority of people should know who he is. I mean, he's around, I think it's 33 years he spent wrestling. I know, like, my older brothers and even me as a kid, we've all watched him kind of come up through the years. And I know, like, don't get me wrong, I understand why people have no interest in it, especially if you're over the age of 4. No, you know, I suppose when you get near your 17, 18 stage, you kind of lose interest, or you realise it's not real, kind of, maybe before that, I don't know. But one thing that I find fascinating about it is, obviously, I get that it's not real and all that, but if you listen to the stories, I've read Stone Cold Steve Austin's book, and I've watched a couple of his documentaries. Then I've also listened to Jake the Snake Roberts, who was on Joe Rogan, I think. Yeah, he was on Joe Rogan, and I've heard Diamond, Alice Page, a couple of these other guys down through the years, Goldberg, all very interesting characters. If you hear, I don't think it's the same nowadays. Like, I don't watch it now, but I do love to go back and rewatch, like, the ones I used to watch as a kid. The guys like Stone Cold, guys like Mark Calloway, The Undertaker. But if you listen to their stories, how they actually, like, when obviously I kind of started to realise how fake it was. You know, as you get older, it becomes hard to really enjoy it. But when you hear the stories behind how they sell a match, or how they get their identity, you know, their names and things like that, and how they become, you know, whatever gimmick they get, whether it's, you know, your Stone Cold Steve Austin, your Goldberg, your Triple H, or whatever, The Undertaker. Very interesting, and yeah, it is, like, when you hear all the little nicknames and codes they use. I actually know a guy out here in New Zealand. He works with the same company I do, who's actually involved in that on a little bit of a lower level. But I love listening to his stories. He's been around some of the names that I used to watch as a kid when I used to watch wrestling. But if you hear how they sell matches, or for instance, one of the stories I loved, it's not a good story, but it's just fascinating when you rewatch the match and how they sell it. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, when he was wrestling, he broke his neck in a match. He was doing wrestling Owen Hart, who died actually in an accident in the cage, or in the ring, which I'm sure a lot of people know about. Well, if you don't, Owen Hart was doing a big gimmicky entrance into the ring on a rope, kind of what would you call it, my brain never seems to work when I want to do this podcast. He was rappelling. No. When you get on the rope and you fucking slide in that way, I can't remember what you call it, but I know there's a word for it. It's not in my brain right now. Figure it out yourself or Google it. But anyway, that's how he was coming into the ring. He was kind of going down on a rope that way, coming towards the ring. And I shouldn't laugh because it's a horrible story, but during the live broadcast, the rope snapped, gave way or something, and he came crashing down to the floor and died. You can't get a video of it. Like there's no footage like that, so that's not what I'm trying to look up. But you can get footage of the event going on and the commentators talking about Owen Hart in the background on the basically put on a stretcher, and he died shortly after. So it's a super sad story. But where I'm going with that is Stone Cold was wrestling Owen Hart, I don't know, previously, before he had died, obviously, but in a previous match, and Owen Hart was doing a move on Stone Cold what they call the pile driver. That's basically where you put the guy's head between your legs, you hold him up, and you drop down. But when you hear how they're supposed to do, you're supposed to, if you look at it, it's hard to explain, but basically you're supposed to make it look like that you're dropping the guy on his head, but really your ass hits first, or your knees hit first, depending on the two variations of doing it. But anyway, Owen Hart had done this move wrong. Stone Cold, so you imagine Stone Cold's head had been below Owen Hart's ass, if people can see that. That's another video you can get on YouTube. And as he drops down, he spikes Stone Cold on his head and breaks his neck, basically. But obviously the audience don't know that, and the viewers at home don't know that he's broken his neck. And there's always lines of communication between the ref and the two wrestlers in the fight to, gauge how they're going to finish the match, or what the next move is and things like that. But yeah, Stone Cold broke his neck in that match and still had to finish it, just to sell it to the crowd so it didn't look bad. And because all their storylines they got to link up in the way they do it, like movies or like a script or whatever. If you watch that, you hear Stone Cold explain. It actually gives me shivers when you hear Stone Cold explaining how he felt the fire running through his neck and down his arms, like it was burning, whatever damage he'd done to his neck. But he had to still finish the match, and he had to be carried out by a group of referees. But when you're watching it, you don't know that this is not part of the storyline. You figure it is, or if you're a kid that kind of believes it's real, you believe it's all part of the story. You believe it's, you don't know really what's going on behind it, and it's pretty cool to hear that. And I love to hear the stories because they live rock star lifestyles. Like, for instance, a book I read as well was Slash from Guns N' Roses. Now I know he's nothing to do with wrestling, but obviously he's a rock star, and some of his stories are fascinating as well. But these guys are the exact same, and then you mix in the choreography and the storylines they got to keep together in wrestling. It's very fascinating stuff. I've used the word fascinating a lot, so I'm going to stop. But it's very cool and amazing stuff. I love to hear the stories behind it. How the Undertaker, who was, as I said, was on Joe Rogan during the week, was explaining like kind of how he got himself involved, and it's really interesting stuff. And one thing that a lot of them have is they're crippled with injuries by the end of their careers. But most of them are big guys, and they say there's drug testing now in wrestling. Not that I believe it, but they're pumped with steroids, let's be honest, and they're big guys jumping around the place and landing on each other. It is, like I said, it's fascinating, but really cool to listen to. I do enjoy listening to the stories about it, and how these guys, there's terms in wrestling where you've got a baby face, which is the good guy that all the fans love, and then you got the heel. The heel is the bad guy that everyone wants to hate, and that's these. When you hear these kind of names and the terms they use, or the terms they use for certain ways they want to sell a match, really cool, really cool stuff. I definitely would encourage people to have a listen to the stories behind it. Stone Cold's book was really good. I'm trying to think if I read any other. No, he's the only wrestler's book I've actually read, I think. But still a very good story. Or if you get any of his documentaries, I don't know where you'd find that. The one I saw was The Stone Cold Truth, which is a really good documentary, but I don't know where you'd find that now. I don't know if it's on YouTube or anything like that, but do, if you come across it, check it out. Really cool. Just the stories about all the stuff they go through to get their names big, and and like the story behind Vince McMahon, who's a cool character as well, and the kind of stuff he does to build up the organisation to what it is now, which is multi-billion-dollar industry. Like, it's they have their own movie company, everything. Like, it's really, really cool. I do love to hear the stories behind it and that kind of thing. So definitely check any of that out, or check out the podcast with Mark Calloway. Very well spoken guys, very good. Definitely check out the podcast with Jake the Snake Roberts. I think he appears on Joe Rogan twice, if I'm not wrong. But you hear his stories, because for those that don't know, Jake the Snake struggled big time with drugs. I think it was heroin and basically everything, the rock star lifestyle, like I said, they live. But check out his story. It's very interesting, dark at times, but still very interesting when you hear, what he's been through, what he has done. Yeah, some cool stuff. So definitely check some of that out. I know, again, not a lot of people are interested in that, especially if you're a grown ass adult. But it's interesting to see the way things work in that industry, and how they build up their storylines and build up their characters, like I was saying earlier. So do check it out. Check out any of those documentaries. Definitely check out Jake the Snake on Joe Rogan, or check out his Beyond the Mat, which is an old documentary you will definitely get on YouTube. That's a good look at it. You do get a good look at it in that. It's an old documentary, but it's still quite good. You get a good look behind the scenes of wrestling on that. My opinion, it almost makes it more interesting to when obviously you're a kid and you're loving it and you're believing it, but it is pretty cool. So moving on. Talk about a bit of TV and movies now, another addiction of mine. I saw a movie last night, actually. A friend of mine at work recommended it to me. It's Train to Busan, or Busan, Busaun or something like that. Busun, I think. I don't know, but it's pretty good. It's one of your typical zombie movies. Now the only thing is, it's an Asian movie. I can't remember I don't know if it's Korean, Chinese, or whatever, but it's subtitled anyway. But pretty good movie. I'm not going to sell it completely. It's not an amazing movie. It's like your typical zombie movie, but it's good. Basically, it's about these people that are on a train going to Busan. In the midst of a kind of a zombie breakout or apocalypse or something like that, and it's good. It's again not amazing, but it's worth the watch. A little depressing at parts, but I'm not going to give anything away. Everybody dies. No, depressing at parts, but it's worth the watch. It's on Netflix. Subtitled though, so it can be a little annoying having to read all the subtitles, but it's kind of worth the watch if you're into like zombie movies, which I am kind of, and that is definitely worth the watch. That's all the movies I can think of right now. Any other ones, you most likely have seen them, because I'm way behind on catching up with movies and stuff like that. But TV shows, which I am a little behind on too, but anyway, I'm going to talk about it. I finished Gangs of London recently, which I know it's probably out for like a year or so, but very good, very, very good. It's basically about gangs in London, but it's good for I think it's a Sky TV show. Sorry, 1 second. But yeah, it's quite good. It's one of the guys from Peaky Blinders, one of the brothers in it anyway. It's not the main guys, but one of the younger brothers. He's in it, and Colin Meaney, stuff like that. But it's good. What's very good about it is some of the fight scenes in it It's kind of martial arts esque. Um, it's a violent show. It's quite violent at parts, but it's good. Like I like to watch them. I like shows about gangs, and I'm into the violent movies and stuff like that. So it's quite good if you're into that. Definitely check it out. And it's what I like about it. It's quite short. I think it's only nine or 10 episodes, which is short enough for a season of TV, you know. But oh my god, excuse me, definitely worth the watch. Where did I get it? I don't know where you're going to be able to go and watch it, but have a look. It's good. I think it's a Sky show as far as I know, but it is quite worth the watch. It's one that might slip under the radar for you. Another big one which I finished the new season of is Cobra Kai. It's like, I don't know why this show is kicking off so well, but it is. That's not me shitting on the show. I'm just saying it's like realistically, it's not that it's about karate and all that kind of thing. It shouldn't work, but for some reason it does. It works so well. Especially if you're a fan of like the Karate Kid movies, obviously that's what it's all based around. But I think it's very nostalgic. Is why it's one of the reasons why the show kicks off. So like in times of like MMA and all that, I know we're not going to talk about MMA on this. I'm not getting into that, but I'm just saying, realistically, a karate show should not be kicking off, but it does, and it's very good. It had me hooked. And I think what's good about it is I don't know where can you get it all on YouTube. No, it's on Netflix now actually. So check it out on Netflix, especially if you're a fan of like the Karate Kid movies. And I'm sure a lot of people know about it at this stage. I'm not breaking any news or anything, but it is a good show. Yeah, all based around the Karate Kid thing. It's quite funny too. It's the sarcasm in the show is very good. And one thing I love about it is they've brought back all the original. When I say all, but majority of the original cast who are still available. The original cast of the movies. But yeah, really good. It's like I said, nostalgic. It's kind of a bit like the only other show that done that for me was Stranger Things. Stranger Things was very, again, nostalgic. It was like a late 80s, early 90s movie. TV show obviously, but it was like a bit like the Goonies or movies like that. This kind of has that same vibe. It is nostalgic and it's quite good, and I love that the episodes are only 30 minutes long, which is great. But in saying that, I got through an entire season I think in one sitting or two sittings. So I was off work at the time, so yeah, shut up. So yeah, it's good. It is. It's well worth the watch. So check that out too. What else? The other ones I'm doing a lot of rewatching of TV shows lately. Some of my favourites are I must be doing this for the third or fourth time, but your typical Sons of Anarchy. I'm rewatching that now at the moment. It's so good. If you have not seen Sons of Anarchy, you gotta fucking watch it. Really, I'm trying to convince my girlfriend all the time to do it, but she's no interest. It is so good, so good. One of the best endings to a TV show I think I've ever seen. Yeah, such a fan that I'm not going to give anything away because I know some people haven't seen it, even though fucking not really a spoiler alert, like. But yeah, it's really good. Check it out. It's very, very good. Breaking Bad as well. I've definitely rewatched that about 50 times. Check that if you haven't seen that. My God, check that out too. It's so good. One of my, what do they call it when it's like I think it's a guilty pleasure. Well, yeah, one of my guilty pleasures. Fucking reality TV. I don't know why I can't get enough of it. I'm actually back watching things like Love Island. I know that's bad. Watching Love Island. I'm always watching The Ultimate Fighter, which is, I know it's a kind of a different segue from Love Island, but it's got that reality show thing about it. Things like Big Brother. What's that one? I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. All them kind of things. Oh, I could rewatch them all day. They're brainless, shitty TV, but it's just what it is about it. I like to watch it. Another show I liked, again, unfortunately, I want to mention MMA. It's on Netflix too. It's Kingdom. Especially for any lads out there. I know a lot of you women are into MMA too, but I'm just saying it's more of a lads based TV show, I would imagine. But Kingdom, yeah, it's very good. That's not my Kingdom hoodie. I have one in the room. Anyway, never mind. Oh my god. But yeah, it's a good TV show. It is on Netflix too. It is mostly MMA based, but there's a lot of other stuff happening in it too. It's pretty good. It's been out a while now, so But it's one of those that you may not have heard of. Some of the acting is like really good in it. Some of the fight scenes and stuff like that is very good. So that's another one to check out. It's all on my TV. Oh yeah, another one of my guilty pleasures. I could watch it all fucking day. Is Pawn Stars. Pawn Stars. Just make sure everyone heard that right. Yeah, I could just watch that around the clock. I don't know why. Basically, it's in the name. For those of you that haven't seen it, you should have seen it. But basically, people go into this famous pawn shop in Las Vegas and pawn shit. But I love to see how something that looks so shitty, sometimes they might go in with a little old coin that they found left at home and it becomes worth so many thousands or whatever, or the other way around. Then they come in with this amazing thing that looks unreal, but really it's worth absolutely nothing. But quite cool. That's also one of my things. But yeah, that's kind of my list of random shit. But I'm going to finish, I suppose, on don't want to say on a dark note, but a little bit dark. It's not dark, no. It's just a lot of the shit that's going on. I suppose we're breaking into a new year now, and a lot of the stuff that's going on. In particular, my own country back home in Ireland, you've seen a lot of this kind of uproar against cops and stuff like that. There's a few things. I'm just talking about basically the new year, and I'm not trying to give people a speech on how to live your lives or anything like that. But I just this section of the podcast is where I kind of have to address these sort of things. Things that are in the news and stuff like that. I'm a little late to the party because the things that are happening in Ireland I think have kind of calmed down a little bit. But anyway, yeah, like a few weeks back there was basically a guy killed. He was shot by the police in Ireland, or the guards as they're called, because he was brandishing a knife. I'm not going to go into it too much in my opinion and stuff like that, because I'm not going to try and bring any negative shit towards the podcast, but he was brandishing a knife, he got shot and all that. But whether you think it's right or wrong, it led to a lot of riots and stuff like that back in Ireland, people protesting. And I think unfortunately, like, one thing I always loved about Ireland is it doesn't fall into the same lines as like America and some of these places, because it's such a small place. And I don't know, I think that the mob mentality, unfortunately, doesn't happen as much in Ireland, or it used to not happen as much in Ireland. But with this, it seems to have a little bit, where people are, going around smashing up shops and beating the shit out of people. It's not supposed to be protest, which makes no sense to me. If you want to protest, raise money for the guy, the family of the guy who got shot, or do something good. You know what I mean? This is the amount of crap and stuff that everyone went through last year in 2020, and this is how people want to kickstart 2021. And what people also have to remember is, everyone was talking towards the end of last year, which it was only a few weeks ago, but they're like, 2021 is going to be different. It's going to be like, not a lot is going to change. COVID is still here. That's not going to just vanish because you're breaking into a new year. All the other mad shit, people still have to hold themselves accountable, because it's 2021. You can't just, you still gotta do the right thing, I think is what I'm trying to say. Just because you kickstart a new year doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. Fucking people in Ireland, just, if you're told to stay in to get these COVID numbers down. I know it's easy for me to say when I'm over here, but unfortunately that's just how it is back there now, that the government are shit. Look, we all know that. But just, if you have to stay in, if you have to work, go to work, but be careful. But this riots and shit like that, I mean, pull your heads out of your asses. Like, that's not the way. In my opinion, you're idiots. That's all I say. Whether you're right or wrong, I don't care. Whether you think you're right or wrong, I don't care. You're going about it the wrong way. And what a shitty way to start off the new year. I mean, you see it in America, where all the people, these idiot Trump followers who were breaking into whatever the government building is. I don't even want to get into it because I'm not a political person, so I'm not going to talk about it. But you know what I mean? There's so much other shit that's out of our hands happening with COVID and all that kind of thing, and we don't need to have this as the list. These riots and all that kind of bullshit. There's no need for it. If you want to do something good. Find a way to. That guy who got shot. Why was he brandishing a knife? If mental health is, people are saying it's a mental health problem, then do something to help with mental health. you know, do something positive. Find a way to help somebody. Find a way, but don't go smashing up places and threatening cops on YouTube. You know, and I've seen some of the messages that are going around, and obviously it's not all of them. That's all. Like at the same time, you got to flip it the other side. We can't have racism lifting out because there's groups of black people in Ireland doing this. You know, they're not all doing it. There's always a small group of assholes in every breed, in every group. Yeah, we just gotta, you know, we gotta just make better choices. We gotta come together through times like this. That COVID should have taught everyone that you know, sometimes everything's going to be out of our hands, you know, and you look back at all these silly little choices we made, silly little things people have done, whether it's rioting or whatever, you know, silly fights. You realise that, you know, COVID should send that message to everybody that we're only a tiny little speck in whatever you want to call this, you know. And when it's out of our hands, it's not very nice to feel out of control. You know, you don't get to control your life. You gotta, like in terms of, I can only speak for myself and say that I've been trying to fly home for quite a while and I can't. Just too many restrictions here or there, and everything's so up in the air. So, you know, just if you want to make a statement for something like that, do something good. You don't have to be a genius to figure that out. Do something good. Try and, you know, if you want to put up things in protest online, do it, but do it in a mannerly way, not where you're stopping other innocent people living their lives or attacking innocent people for nothing. And again, I know it's only small groups, but this goes out to those small groups. You know, I'm not trying to be I don't know, I'm not trying to be like a fucking Mother Teresa and saying all this, but just I wanted to get to it. I didn't want to totally ignore it when I'm going to do a podcast based on, you know, life events and random stuff and things like that when I stepping away from the MMA side. But yeah, just let's try and make 2021 a bit better than last year for a lot of people. I know for me in particular it didn't suck as much for me as it did for other people, but it still sucked a little bit, like to see back home the way it is, especially when you're over here. That you can't even visit to see how people are, or, you know, and I'm not the only one. I got friends in Canada, got guys here who can't travel, you know, the Mister families, got people who travelled home just for a visit and they're supposed to come back out here again and they're stuck. Can't get new visas and stuff like that, so it's affecting everybody. But let's not add to that. I mean, it's bad enough. You know, make 2021 a better year. Like for instance, just so you know, I'm not telling everyone what to do. I'm trying to do the same myself. I've said on the other podcast I'm currently studying a personal training course. That's just something I want to do. I want to see if, you know, yeah. I'm treating myself as a guinea pig. I've said that before. Like I'm kind of training myself at the moment. You know, using what I'm learning on myself. But it'd be nice to eventually be able to use that, you know, to help people get in shape, help people with mental health problems. That's something I want to look into too. You know, that's just what I want to do. You know, that's my way of trying to make myself a bit better in this year. You know, or as the saying goes, you know, make yourself better than yesterday. Or be better than yesterday, I think is how it goes. But yeah, just, you know, do something like that. Put your energy into something positive. Better for you. It's better for everyone. And like I said again, for the 17th time, just make this year a bit better than last year. It's not over. Like there's a lot more shit people have to go through, and I hope the Irish government wake up and just close the borders for a while and let this thing fizzle out, and where people can move around the world again, and hopefully we'll all be thankful when we can. But yeah, just put your energy into something better. I think things like mental health, there's a lot of those problems, especially in Ireland. I can only speak for Ireland. It's everywhere, but in Ireland, those problems are arising big time. Find a way, study a bit about it. Maybe get involved in, like I said, personal training can help people out. Or if not that, do something. You know, start whatever you want to do. Like I've started this podcast because of all this shit. Just to do something, I don't know, because I've always wanted to do it, but to do something good with my energy. You know, God willing, this thing will get a bit bigger, and I might be able to dedicate more time to it. I would love that, but you know, that's wishful thinking. But yeah, I think there's just better ways we can all use our time. You know, I know everybody's got to work and we all got to do that, but when you have spare time, rather than filling it up with bad shit or hate or pointing fingers or blaming people, just do it, make yourself a bit better, and then find a way to do something for somebody, whatever it may be, big or small, you know. it's just a better way of using our time. And especially, during all these lockdowns and things like that, it is a great time. It's a horrible time, don't get me wrong. But it's also a great time to do something different. I've got a couple of friends of mine, some of them are back home and they're training constantly, They're making their gyms out in their sheds and stuff like that. And I love seeing that. I love watching their videos because they're doing something positive with their time. And they're hating the lockdown as much as everyone else. But they're just not sitting around complaining about it. They're trying to do something right, or they're maybe putting out videos of positivity, and it's good to see, that's what everyone needs. And look, it's regardless of COVID, everyone at some point is going through shit times. This is just piled on top of it. So just try and be a bit more positive this year. Let's try and get something better. Let's be positive, basically. This COVID thing, in my opinion, is not going away. Not for a long time, maybe not ever. So just try and live with it, I do really hope that the governments around the world start to follow suit to here, because it's not a tough solution, in my opinion. I think close the borders for 6 or 8 weeks. That's all you got to do, rather than in and out of these lockdowns. But anyway, I'm not going to continue talking about that, because I've already rambled on a bit longer than I should have. But yeah, look, I just want everyone to be alright. We all get sick of seeing all this kind of shit on the news, and the news are always going to feed us with that anyway. They're never going to feed any of the good stuff out there, the positive shit. So, amongst ourselves, be more positive, do things for everyone, do things for each other, get involved, do something new. Like I said, I'm doing a course now and it's driving me crazy. I absolutely hate studying, but I want to do it because I want to be able to, as I said, eventually be able to help people to train, help myself to train. I started off doing this to teach myself a bit more. And now I see that maybe, eventually, hopefully I'll be able to train people and help people get fit. And it really isn't about the money side of it. Absolutely great to make a little extra money, don't get me wrong, but I'd love to be able to take people on and train them eventually, and it is something I plan on doing, which you're going to see on the page evolve a bit more. It's, just try and do something a bit better for yourself, because, these times are pretty shit in ways. But they're also a good way to make yourself a bit better too. That's all I have to say, I suppose. You can always, make a choice, be negative or be positive, so hopefully it all comes to an end soon. Like I said, I've been trying to book flights home and stuff like that, and do, I wanted to do a bit of travelling, but it's quite hard, and fingers, toes and everything crossed that hopefully this year I'll get to do it, and let's see. But whatever it is all of you guys have planned, hopefully you'll get to do it soon as well. But I guess kind of it's one of the things this podcast is about, just trying to keep people occupied, hopefully give you a laugh, give you something to talk about, but do the same, help each other. That's my Mother Teresa speech for the day. But that's pretty much the end of this podcast of awesome randomness. But yeah, that's basically what this one's going to be about. The way, as I said before, it's going to work is probably on a Friday you'll have this podcast. I'll film it on a Friday New Zealand time, so it'll probably be out on a Saturday everywhere else. And the same, and then the MMA one will be most of the time right after the events on a Sunday. That's when I'll film it, so we'll probably have it out on the Monday. So trying to get more consistency with this podcast, and like I've said 1,000 times again, there is more things coming, I promise. I'm working hard trying to get it done. We have a lot of exciting things coming, and I do hope people are enjoying it. I'm getting better as I go, I hope it shows, and the content will get better. It's just I'm so new to it that I'm still working at it, and the technology side of it is not as easy as it may sound sometimes, so that's a work in progress too, but we are getting there, and I hope people are enjoying it. Again, any of you that have been writing on the YouTube channel, hit me up with something you want me to talk about. I'm sorry, that fucking sound probably keeps coming across the mic, but hit me up with something that, if you want me to talk about on this podcast, something random, or if you want me to talk about MMA based on the other podcast, let me know. I'm happy to take on board some suggestions and stuff like that, but it'll be, like I said, twice a week, so we get more consistent as we go, and I'll have more fun stuff coming up. And keep an eye out on the Instagram page. I'm gonna have more fun stuff on that too. Yeah, that's basically it for today. There'll be another one up after I'll have my MMA one up after the fights this weekend. So thanks for listening, guys, and I hope you're all well. Stay safe, and go grab that day. Peace.